guns, I love the sound, yeah.
Weekly Wrap Up is a look at the events Southern Miss Student Media covered throughout the week and the events Southern Miss Student Media is working on for next week. And now here's the host of the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap Up, Kelsey Bolden.
Hi everyone, my name is Kelsey Bolden and I'm your host for the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap Up. I hope everyone is doing well on this Friday afternoon at the top of the 12 o'clock hour. It is 70 degrees in Hattiesburg, and we are finishing the 14th week of classes. It's really hard to believe that the semester has gone by so quickly. But like I always say, remember, if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed with the burden that school can bring sometimes, to relax and take time to do fun things with your loved ones, like friends and family, like going walking, exercising, playing games, etc., etc. On the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up Show, I talk to leaders from SM2, the Southern Miss Student Media Center. In the Media Center, students have the opportunity to get involved with print, radio, social media, and television to curate stories that are for students and are by students. Now, we're going to take a sponsorship break and hear from Sethany Smith, who is a writer for the Student Prints. Stay tuned.
Join Southern Miss Radio on Sunday mornings from 6 a.m. till noon for Sunday Brunch. You'll get jazz and swing music from artists as wide-ranging as Bix Beiderbecke to Brad Meldau. From Dippermouth himself to Esperanza Spalding. But relax, you don't need to know anything about the music to enjoy it. It's a great way to wake up on Sunday morning. Sunday Brunch from 6 a.m. until noon on Southern Miss Radio. Research shows that audiences feel positively about businesses that underwrite programming on their community radio station. Research also shows that the audiences are likely to patronize businesses that support community radio programming. The audience also believes that businesses that support community radio care about their community. If you want to build this type of relationship with WUSM's audience, call us at 601-266-4287 to ask about sponsoring programming. It's more than just exposure, it's building a community relationship.
Yo, it's Smooth Oz.
And Charlie from the 4th Street Sports Show.
And we are psyched for our second year covering Southern Miss Athletics, and we have some new faces joining too.
Join us every Monday at 5 p.m. to hear from myself and Smooth Ost, as well as Dima, Jackson, and Nathan.
88.5 is the place to be on Mondays at 5.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We have Sethany Smith here filling in for Abigail Troth to let us know what's going on with the Student Prints newspaper. How's it going, Sethany? So, what can you tell us about the Student Prints? Maybe some things you're working on, just anything.
So, Simeon Gates wrote an article on Dr. Lance Neal about his past on sexual assault, and that's all I can,
Do you have any projects you're working on?
Maybe covering a story on the crawfish boil that's going on campus.
So, when is that? Are you talking about grads and crawdad?
I think probably just basically talking to somebody from any student organizations that's doing like a crawfish boil on campus, maybe.
Do you plan on going, like for yourself?
I don't know.
So how do you feel the Prince is because we're winding down the semester, so how do you feel the Prince is going to close out for the semester? Do you have any thoughts?
No.
Well, you're graduating, so that's exciting. One question I have is, what would you say is the story that you're most proud of?
I don't know.
You have a favorite story that you've written?
I don't think so.
No. Well, I also know that you work with SMTV, so you do some work with them. How would you describe how you kind of go back and forth between what you curate for the Prince and the work that you do on SMTV?
I don't know. It's kind of a challenge, but I manage.
Yeah, it seems like it could be a lot of work because they're two different mediums, but I think you're faring really well. I see you on both, so. So do you have any reflections that you want to kind of share as you close out the semester and your undergraduate career?
I'm still thinking about it.
All right. Is there anything else you want to share?
No.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for being on with us, Sethany. I really enjoyed talking with you today.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to hear Simeon Gates report on controversies surrounding a USM provost candidate, followed by Abigail Trouth's report on a student protest regarding a USM provost candidate. Let's hear it.
Graduate students at USM have been raising the alarm about provost candidate Dr. Lance Nail and his misconduct at a previous job. SM2 spoke to one of them, John Tobin, along with English professor Dr. Nicole Jordan. Here's what you need to know.
Before he was a provost candidate, Dr. Lance Nail was a dean and professor at Texas Tech University's College of Business. In 2016, Title IX investigated Nail's colleague, Dr. Franco Parisi. They revealed that Nail enabled Parisi's misconduct. Parisi once drank in an academic building with a female staffer. When she passed out from intoxication, he abandoned her. After this incident, Nail did not let Parisi return the next year. Nail still let Parisi attend a leadership trip to Chile, where he was inappropriate with students. Before this, a faculty committee discovered that Nail changed 4 students' grades behind their professor's back. This led to his resignation. The USM concerned grad students have been raising the alarm about Nail's candidacy. English PhD student John Tobin got to the heart of the issue.
Students want to feel safe on their campus, and they want to feel like their academic and scholarly responsibilities are respected. And so when you have a candidate where it's unclear what their stance is or what they represent, then that calls into question our integrity as well.
Nail has defended himself. He said the Title IX investigation was full of inaccuracies and that the grade changes were because of unfair grading. Faculty members like Dr. Nicole Jordan still have their doubts about him.
I think he needs to prepare for what I think should be a rigorous interview process. I think it's really important that the campus community attend the listening sessions because of the concerns about his record at Texas Tech.
Nail will visit USM for 2 open forum sessions on April 18th. The concerned grad students will lead a protest against him at the same time. As of this recording, a petition to prevent Dr. Nail from being hired has reached over 700 signatures. Simeon Gates, SM2 News.
USM students are gathered behind me to protest potential candidate for the provost, Dr. Lance Nail, who has become a recent figure of controversy for USM.
Nail has been receiving significant flack from students of the university for his problematic past, which involves a history of ignoring sexual harassment and academic dishonesty. Students gathered at Shoemaker Square to oppose Nail's provost candidacy, raising signs and chanting to state their opinions on what they think USM should do to Nail. Graduate student Emily Goldsmith, who helped to organize the protest, expressed concerns about Nail's selection as a finalist and believes that students deserve a provost that will listen to the student body and meet their needs first.
We know a little bit about these candidates, and that's how finding out some of the stuff in Lance Nail's past was really concerning for us because the provost has so much power.
Many students on campus feel that USM is not doing enough research into the past of the people they seek to hire in major positions.
Y'all need to start using your voices. Let USM know this kind of behavior, this kind of nonchalance, oh, we recommend this guy for this role. You need to look at it.
Students made their way to Nail's Forum to question his policies and what he would have to say about his past controversies, though many students still expressed their concerns with Nail for USM's provost. Abigail Troth, SM2 News.
Thanks, Simeon and Abigail. Now we're going to turn to Garrett Grove, who is the executive producer of SMTV. Hi, Garrett.
How are you doing today, Kelsey?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Garrett?
I'm shaking, baking, and making bacon, you know?
Oh, okay. All right, is that your little catchphrase?
Yeah, I think I've used it on the show before, but, unfortunately, still don't have any bacon. It just sounds great.
Yeah, you didn't bring any bacon here. I don't see any.
Yeah, bacon's still too expensive, just like eggs. But ultimately, it is a pleasure to be back on the show as always.
Thank you. So what's going on with SMTV? The semester is wrapping up. Bittersweet, I know, for you.
Yeah, it definitely is, but at the same time, just 21 more days, y'all, and we are walking across the stage. But ultimately, yeah, it is definitely bittersweet because with our latest episode, it is also our last episode. It got aired and we filmed it on Wednesday. Definitely was a good showing by the people who were not only anchoring, but also contributing content. We already heard from a couple of those people a second ago, particularly as it relates to Simeon as well as Abigail. Ultimately, I really liked the show, really brought in some great content, particularly as it relates to the Lance Nail controversy. Also, there was a highlight for SAPA, which is the Sexual Assault Prevention Ambassadors. So really a great show to kind of cap things off for the semester.
I agree. I actually was for those of the listeners who don't know, we have a weekly leadership meeting for the Media Center, and I was hearing kind of the curation of content that would go into last Wednesday's show, and just hearing about the planning for it, I could tell it was going to be a great show. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, and I think this is really exemplified, especially by our awards program yesterday, is what makes great shows isn't just one person. It's really the team of people who kind of come together bi-monthly to really just help curate this broadcast. One of the biggest contributors, especially for this year, is undoubtedly Simeon Gates. I really can't say enough positive things about her. She really has been at the forefront of coverage, especially within the Student Media Center, and getting her Rising Star Award was definitely very well deserved. But in terms of just everyone else who contributes content, and even people behind the scenes like Cordavion Carter, Zioni Furge, among many others, they basically make the show what it is. So the content that we see every week, it could not happen without these people, without the other people I haven't mentioned, including reporters, people who operate the camera, things of that nature. So that's what makes it a good show.
I agree. I mean, you're only as good as your team. That's what I say, even with radio. As assistant manager, I have a leadership position, but I am really nothing without the people I work with. So, I understand.
That's definitely a great sentiment. I would agree with that, Kelsey, but give yourself some credit. I remember when we were listening in on the awards ceremony yesterday, you really got some very heartfelt words from Dr. Martin, who basically said, hey, if it wasn't for Kelsey, I don't think WUSM would have happened. So, I mean, you are a very integral part into kind of what makes SM2 SM2, because WUSM is one of our most storied just establishments within this media brand. Of course, the Prince is a little bit older, but with WUSM, it's definitely something that is just as integral and you contribute to it and really make it what it is, not only within the realm of this show, but really within the realm of its programming. So give yourself some props.
Thank you so much, Garrett. Well, this isn't about me. I want to keep it on SMTV for this segment. So I know we're kind of done with SMTV, and you are scheduled to graduate this semester. So like kind of how I asked Stephanie, what are some of the highlights that you took away this semester or even this school year from SMTV?
Yeah, that is an awesome question. And what I would say is one of the highlights that I definitely took away was just working with people. I might say this a million times. Really, the people really make up what we bring to the table with not just SMTV, but SM2 in general. It was really great to see the content that we saw delivered by just the plethora of just awesome reporters that we have, both in the realm of news, sports, investigative coverage, and really just seeing that all come together was just awesome. As well as people who work behind the scenes, because they also are a very integral role in making sure everything happens. So, I mean, just working with the people was just probably my favorite part about everything. Of course, I did some good stories, and I was able to work with just some amazing people on great stories, but even beyond what we were be able to do, just being able to work with just so many amazing people is really the highlight of what I'm able to do here at SM2.
Well, I want to give you your props as well. The shows that were amazing that I've seen, and of course they got accolades as they should have gotten. So I want to say again, congratulations on an amazing year with SMTV. I don't think that SMTV could be what it is without you. So congrats.
Well, again, I really do appreciate the compliment. I'm definitely humbled by that. And again, as much as it may seem as if I'm the one who's kind of in charge of the show, and I guess to some extent that is a little bit true, it really could not happen without the people who I work with. It's really just great to have just the amazing colleagues that I do have, and really just be able to collaborate in order to make great content and really execute an amazing show. I can't do it without them.
Of course, and I'm sure they appreciate hearing that. Thank you so much, Garrett.
My pleasure.
Now we're going to hear Abigail Troth again as she reports on April's sexual assault awareness and protection on campus before some sponsorship messages. You're listening to the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. Stay tuned.
USM sexual assault prevention ambassadors are dedicating April to sexual assault awareness and prevention. We warn you that this is triggering content that features the heavy subject of sexual assault. Olivia Wallace and Diana Daughter are the president and vice president of SAPA and have worked diligently on organizing this month of events to bring light to the horrors of sexual assault. The event started at the beginning of April and will end with a march on campus on April 26th. Events featured this month includes Prints for Prevention and the Why Didn't I Report and the What Were You Wearing exhibits. SAPA is also partnered with PRISM, Title IX, and the Schaefer Center.
And I feel like they're really awesome and they're like good and empowering for people to see on our campus.
This month's goal is to educate people on the statistics surrounding sexual assault, encourage a zero-tolerance policy, and to ensure that students are aware of the support and resources they have available to them on campus.
We just love the fact that survivors can come in and they can see all the support they have when they go in to get treatment for whatever they're facing at that moment.
Even when Sexual Assault Awareness Month is over, SAPA and these other organizations will still be there to offer support to those in need. For more information on SAPA, you can contact Olivia Wallace at olivia.wallace@usm.edu. For campus resources on sexual assault, contact Title IX at 601-266-6804. Abigail Troth, SM2 News.
Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277. And the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest.
Have you lost your right to vote due to a criminal conviction? 1 in 10 people in Mississippi are unable to vote because of a felony conviction. In 2020, Mississippi had the second highest incarceration rate in the country, with members of the Black community making up 60% of those who can't vote. But there are organizations fighting back. One Voice and Mississippi Votes are committed to helping people regain their voting rights. Call 1-888-601-8683 to take your power back.
This message is sponsored by One Voice, Mississippi Votes, the Mississippi Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Since 1927, the Student Prince has been a direct conduit to USM students. Get your share of the more than $600 million USM brings into South Mississippi by advertising your business or service in the student prints. To find out more about how to advertise in the student prints, email sm2sales@usm.edu.
Hey everyone, we're back with the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, and we have Jackson Howell, who is 1/5 of the 4th Street Sports Show, with us today, filling in for Charlie Luttrell. Hi Jackson, how's it going?
It's good. Thank you for having me. The award-winning Kelsey Bolden.
Who is talking to the award-winning Jackson Howell.
What? What are you talking about?
So, 4th Street, that happened
It did.
Monday. So, what happened Monday?
Yeah, it was a great show. It was my first show back in a couple weeks. I had some family issues to deal with, so it was good to be back. Austin returned to it as well. And then we interviewed Jana Lee from softball, which, if you haven't heard it, it's a really good interview. She's one of those players that, listening to her talk, she's only a sophomore, but she's somebody you really want to rally around if you were playing on the same team as her. So I enjoyed that interview, and then talked about all things sports. We talked about baseball primarily, softball a little bit as well, but just a little bit of everything as usual.
I actually heard Charlie, not sure when, maybe last week, talking about Jana Lee and how accomplished she is. Of course, to only be a sophomore, which is amazing.
Yeah, so softball only has, I believe, 17 players on their roster, which you have 9 players out in defense or on the field fielding at a certain time. So there's not a whole lot of depth there. So really it's all hands on deck. Jana Lee, she's one of the 3 pitchers on the team, and she's also the leading batter. I think she's got like a .389 batting average, which that's almost getting a hit 4 times out of 10 times going there. I explained that poorly, but you get it. So she's really made an impact for it to only be her 2nd year, and then she also has that presence about her that, you know, she's really a leader on the team, and she's only an underclassman. So it's really special to see.
Yeah. So will there be a show next week?
There will be a show. I believe we're thinking about even having a show on finals week. That has not been finalized. It's a lot of hurdles to jump through there, but we're definitely not done. The guest is TBD right now, but yes, we will have a show, same bat time, same bat channel, 5 o'clock on Monday.
So I guess since we don't know who the guest will be, we don't know what to really expect, right?
I mean, you can kind of expect the normal things. We're always going to start off with our Eagle Eye segment, which is where we kind of give quick descriptors of how different sports teams did. So it's usually a lot of baseball, softball, some track and field. We talk about some golf, beach volleyball. If there's a sport on campus, we're going to talk about it, so we do that. And then we have our flowers section after the eventual interview segment where we kind of highlight the player of the week as voted on by the fans. So it's been a lot of baseball players lately, so since that's the most popular sport. But yeah, we have that. You can definitely expect that. And whoever we interview, look forward to that.
So Austin was on last week filling in for Charlie, and I asked him, Smooth Austin, yep. And I asked him what was his favorite sport to watch. So I'm going to ask you the same thing. What's your go-to sport to watch?
I'm going to say football. It's the one I fell in love with first as a kid. It's the one that I played in high school. Well, I kind of sat on the bench, but it kind of just made me fall in love with it. When I watch it, I understand it more than other sports. Baseball is a close second, but it's really football for me.
Austin had the same answer. But of course, we're not in football season, but...
Fun fact, in high school, I went to George County, Austin went to Jim Hill. Our teams actually played each other, which we didn't know each other at the time. How could we? But I remember telling the story. He's like, yeah, I was on that team. Jim Hill was like, they were not good. Sorry, Austin. But we weren't good either, so...
I didn't say it, Austin. That was not me, if Austin's listening.
I've said it to his face. It's okay.
Well, like I did with Stephanie and Garrett, I do want to give you your accolades too, Jackson. You've gotten many awards this year individually and as a contributor to 4th Street. So I'm very proud of what you've done.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, thank you. I was watching the awards show last night on YouTube, and all the comments were, let's go, Kelsey. So you've definitely got that support, too.
Thank you. That's my family. And I also know that you're graduating like Sethany and Garrett are, so I'm excited to see what you will do post-graduation.
Well, thank you, you as well.
Thank you, and thank you for filling in for Charlie today. I don't know when you'll be back on in this capacity, but as always, I appreciate you being here.
Hey, thank y'all for having me. It's my pleasure.
Alrighty, so now we're going to hear Dima Mixon's report on USM's recent baseball win. Let's have a listen.
Southern Miss baseball swept James Madison this past weekend to earn their first ever Sun Belt Series win. On Friday, Southern Miss did just enough to beat James Madison 7-6, despite getting out-hit and committing more errors. Southern Miss head coach Scott Berry was relieved that his team was able to hang on despite the shortcomings.
Yeah, I mean, any win is a great win. It's not easy to come out and win baseball games. I know a lot of people think it is. You got to do a lot of things well, and sometimes when you don't do them well, you're fortunate to do enough to get the win. We were the 3 errors. Kind of bothers me a little bit right there, but
the Golden Eagles were lifted by a solid relief outing from freshman Cross Sibley. Sibley threw for 3 innings, allowing just 1 run, along with 4 strikeouts. Sibley came in with the bases loaded with 1 out and worked Southern Miss out of the jam, allowing just 1 run.
I don't know, I just listen to music before the game and really get my mind right. And then in the pen, I don't really talk to anybody, like the coach or the catcher or anything. I'll just throw my pitches and get in the zone.
In Game 2, the Dukes and the Golden Eagles were in a classic pitcher's duel before the rain came, with no score between either team through 6 innings. Before a 4-hour and 10-minute delay, starting pitcher, Southern Miss pitcher Billy Oldham was pitching a gem against the Dukes, only allowing 1 hit. Oldham was on track to complete the game if not for the rain delay.
We knew going into it that they didn't strike out easy last night. They were, fouling pitches off, some of the most foul balls I've seen yesterday off of Tanner, and they were putting balls in play and nothing too hard. We knew they didn't have a lot of power as a team, so they were going to just hit singles, and so if I would attack them, then they weren't going to beat us with homers and stuff, and that's what's been like, I guess, my struggle this year is that when I leave a ball up, it gets hit hard. So if they didn't beat us with home runs, I knew I could keep the ball down, get them to hit some ground balls, and attack the zone is always the goal.
After the rain, the bats shined for Southern Miss, including home runs by freshman Nick Monaster and designated hitter Slade Wilkes. Monaster's homer was his first of his collegiate career. He explained it to be one of the best experiences of his life.
Oh, it was amazing. I've never felt anything like it. Growing up as a kid, you always want to hit your first college homer, and it was the best experience that ever happened in my life.
Won Game 2 by a score of 7-1. In Game 3, the Golden Eagles were eyeing a sweep, and the hitting from Game 2 went right over into Game 3. While leading already 6-1 in the 3rd inning, Slade Wilkes knocked in his second homer of the weekend, a 3-run shot to make it the score 9-1. Directly after his homer, Sargent followed him with a home run of his own. 2 innings later, it was deja vu. Wilkes destroyed a ball for a grand slam, followed again by a Sargent homer. Wilkes said after the game he wasn't doing anything different with his swing.
Day-to-day, I just go down to the cage, get my swings in, honestly, just keep doing what I'm doing.
Sargent said he was proud of the way the team was able to respond throughout the day.
Yeah, we came out, man. I can't be more proud of this team. We've been just trying our best to come out and just play well. And, I feel like it's really clicking for us now. The biggest thing is just, I don't know, dude. Just this lineup's gonna click. Slade, he's been clicking all year long. I really feel like, 1 through 9, we're swinging it well, we're seeing the ball well, and just need to build off all this.
The sweep moved Southern Miss 22-12. And tied for second in the Sun Belt before a huge series with Coastal Carolina on the docket. Scott Berry wants to focus game by game still, though, throughout the week. This has been Dima Mixon with the 4th Street Sports Show.
All right, everyone, that's it for today's show. I want to give a big shout out to our guests, Sethany Smith, Garrett Grove, and Jackson Howell, and also to our audio engineer, Matthew Lee, and video producer, who's hiding in a corner, Devontae Anthony, for helping out. I also want to thank the manager of the station, Dr. Wilbur Martin, for keeping us on track every week. Remember that you can check out the student prints on sm2media.com and get copies around campus. You can also check out episodes of SMTV on YouTube and the 4th Street Sports Show at 5 on Mondays on 88.5. Also check out our Instagram at sm2.usm. I'm Kelsey Bolden, and this was the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, which is a production of the Southern Miss Student Media Center. Stay safe and have a great weekend.
This has been the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, a look at the events Southern Miss Student Media